Welcome back to Heaven's Kitchen. Hi, I'm Janelle, and I am so happy to have you here. And I also have the blessing once again of having a crew. So here in my kitchen studio in Braintree, we're going to make some really fun, shareable things today. So once again, because I don't have to operate a camera, I can just sit here and do the fun stuff. We're going to start by preheating Martha. We're going to do dessert first so I can get that ready to go. And then we're going to do an awesome New England favorite. So let's get preheated. We're going to convection as usual. 350 degrees. Let me get that right here. 350. Okay, that's multi-bake. I don't need multi-bake. Let me try this again, folks. Sorry. Done. Okay, so Martha's going to preheat for us, and I'm going to show you on this beautiful tray that my friend Ginny gave me. I have all the things that we're going to need. This is a almond shortbread, and I have to laugh because you know from another dessert that I made that I tend not to do almond because Kayleen is not big on it, but my girl is now at Oklahoma City University, so I'm doing a shout out to my girl. And we're doing almond because she's not here to complain about it. So a shortbread is basically a crumbly, delicious, buttery cookie. This one, we're actually going to make our own almond flour for two reasons. First of all, when I went to the store to get a very small package, I was shocked at the price. So I did a little research and found that I can do it myself with my food processor. So let's do that first. I'm going to take my measuring cups and I'm going to need 1.5 cups of blanched almonds. And again, make sure they are blanched so that they don't have the skin on them. So we are going to put 1.5 cups into my food processor. And again, if sticker shock doesn't bother you, go ahead and buy almond flour, but I don't use it enough and it just didn't make sense to me. So there's 1 and 1/2. And you will see how quickly we can make our own for less than half the price. Let me get my cover on right here. Oh, that's always half the fun. Okay, here we go. Block your ears. Take a look at it. Okay, so see now if you can see into there, because I have wonderful Jerry here with his camera. That's still a little too chunky for me. I want it to almost be a texture of flour, but flour with some texture. And I think I am happy with that. Let's take a peek. Yes, I am happy with that. Okay, so you'll see it's almost looks like breadcrumbs, to tell you the truth, but it's going to give a little bit of a nice chew and texture to this shortbread. So let's bring that over here. We are going to use my mixer bowl from Julian because it's clear and then you can see everything. So first things first, we will go ahead and dump our homemade coarse almond flour right in. Set that aside. And then we need 1 3/4 cup of all-purpose flour. So let's do that. Here's 1/4. 2/4, and I'm already making a mess. There we go. 3/4. And let's see if my big spoon will fit into this canister. Will it? Yes, it will. Makes things faster for us. Okay. And as I've told you many times when you're baking, if you don't do a lot of baking, when you measure flour, you definitely want to make sure, I use my offset spatula, you want to just get it in there and then make sure you level it off so you have an accurate measurement. Okay? Done deal. So, we can move our flour out of the way. We can clean up the mess I just made. Okay. Now, we are going to add 3/4 cup of sugar. Get my sugar, and I've got my half right here, so we'll just make it easy. 1/2 and 1/4 is 3/4, isn't it? Little math lesson, everybody. All right, there's 3/4 cup of sugar. Ta-da. Slide that out of the way. Okay, 1/4 teaspoon of coarse salt. Coarse salt being sea salt, kosher salt. If you don't have it, can you use regular? Of course you can, but for some reason, 1/4 cup of course is going to work best in the recipe, so that's what we're going to use. Okay, salt in, and 1½ teaspoons of vanilla. Please, 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 if you're going to bake, don't buy imitation. Buy real vanilla. It makes all the difference in the world, and you know that I always have to smell the vanilla because I love it so much. And I told you when we made, oh gosh, what show was that, Jerry? Maybe Wacky Cake, where I said how it tastes disgusting. So don't fool yourself and think because it smells so good, it tastes good, because it doesn't. So how much vanilla here? 1½ teaspoons. So here's my one. And it is odd. Usually you wouldn't put like a wet ingredient into the dry like this, but because this is a shortbread, we don't have any liquids. We don't have water. We don't have milk. We don't have cream. So it's okay to put it in right now. So let me get my half. And I always like to be generous on the vanilla because I absolutely love it. And when we made the Impossible Buttermilk Pie, and I added the vanilla and then the almond extract, because we're using almond flour that we just made ourselves, we don't need the almond extract. We've got it in there already. So what else do we need? We need a whisk. So let me grab a whisk. That's a good size. That's a good size one. Okay. So you're just basically going to whisk these dry ingredients together. And yeah, you're going to have a little clumps from your vanilla, no big whoop. And get these all incorporated. And the thing that I like about this dessert, you don't even have, I mean, I love my tools. I love my mixer. I love my stuff. But sometimes you just want something you can just use your 2 hands with. And this is it. Takes nothing else. Okay, that looks perfect. So now, let me get my pan ready. I am using a spring-form pan. If you don't have a spring-form pan, a regular cake pan would be fine. The reason why I like it for this, it's going to look like a big giant cookie. So you want it to have a nice rim around it, and you can take the edges off a pan like this. So you basically get your base in, and this little spring load here is going to keep it together while it bakes. And when you're done, you just take it off, and then your dessert is so beautifully formed, and you can take the edge right off. So if you have one, use it. Take it out of the cabinet because you probably haven't used it since you made a cheesecake 100 million years ago. But if you don't have one, no biggie. So, Pam on the bottom. And I am going to go to the sink once again because I spend a lot of time polishing granite, and you get Pam on it, and you got to do it all over again. So I'm just going to go over to the sink and spray it. So. And be generous, even though there's a ton of butter in this recipe, be generous so that you don't have a sticking mess. Okay, now's the part that I love. We're going to add the butter, and this is another one of Janelle's, probably not the healthiest, but one of the most decadent. This is, in fact, 14 tablespoons of butter. My husband's going to kill me, but he's not here right now, so it doesn't really matter. So I do it a little bit at a time just to make the job easy. You got to keep it cold, but not as freezing cold as, for example, when you make a scone or you make a pie crust, you got to keep it in the freezer so it's really cold. This, as long as it's chilled, it's fine. So only because I don't feel like taking my rings off, I'm going to use, get that out of my way, I'm going to use my little, this is a pastry blender, and you can see from these little lines that it's going to help me cut the shortening, or in this case, the butter, into the flour. So we're going to just gradually work this, and you have to be patient with it, but I kind of think things like this are very therapeutic and very fun. And if you don't have a pastry cutter and you don't feel like mucking up your hands, you can just take 2 knives and just kind of cut, cut, cut. It takes a while, of course, but, and you can see, I hope, if we can get you a nice tight shot, that we're starting to get nice little crumbs from my butter. And rather than, as I said, dumping it all in at once, if you work it in a little at a time, your job's just going to be a little bit easier. So we're going to get some more butter in there. Keep working it in. And if you've never made a shortbread, and if you never bought a shortbread, I think the best kind is that they're in the plaid packages. It's big at Christmas time. You know, you get Russell Stover chocolates at Christmas, so you get these Walker's shortbreads. Oh, good. Martha's preheated, ready to roll. But it's just a crumbly, yummy, and Pepperidge Farm makes the chessmen. the little square cookies, I love them with a glass of wine. Most people have it with tea. I have it with wine. But this is going to be just as good, but probably a lot messier and a lot crumblier. And it's just a fun thing. And the reason why I wanted to make it is because, you know, the kids are back to school, and every Monday for 14 years, I had kids around this breakfast bar. And I always tried to come up with things that we could do together as a class, because I taught religious ed for 14 years. And I thought this would have been so much fun, because everybody can get their hands in, everybody can work the dough, and then everybody can just break off a little piece, so it's like just really a fun thing to do. And it just blows my mind that my first set of babies are now young men graduating from college, and they know who they are. And my second set of babies are my girls, who are freshmen in college. So shout out to all of you. I love you. I think about you all the time, and I hope your parents will give you the message if they're watching my show, because I still love hearing from you and having you tell me what you're up to. All right, so as you can see, you do have to be a little patient with this process, but it's good for the muscles, and it's fun, and it's doing it, okay? I'm going to get you a little camera shot there so you can see how it just kind of crumbles, and it looks almost like a crumb topping, for example, that you'd have on a like a streusel muffin or a streusel coffee cake. That is what we are looking for. And because there's so much butter in it, let me just get a knife. I don't want to waste anything here. Because there's so much butter in it, it's going to come together when we press it into our pan. Okay. Looking good. I'll throw that in the sink. Roll up my sleeves. Now, here's the deal. We need to reserve some of it because we're gonna make a crust. So it's almost like a 1/3, 2/3, pretty much. We're gonna make the crust first. Then we're gonna take the rest of it and make the crumbles a little bit bigger. So we're gonna have like this nice crunchy crust, but then the crumbly things on the top. So let me show you. So we'll go ahead and put in 2/3, approximately. Okay? Now this is the important part. I want to make sure I'm giving you a good view. You got to really press this in. Get all your nice dough to the edges and just press away. And it's fun. And it smells so good, butter and vanilla. And I can already tell I'm going to need a little bit more. So I'm going to do this and press right into the edges. You're going to basically create, and what I do is I just take my finger and kind of rub into the corners, because you want to create a nice solid edge. And then when we take off the edge of the pan, it creates this beautiful shape that we want. And you're going to see, you know, bits of butter in your dough as we're doing this. That's not a big deal at all, because it's all going to bake together in Martha and smell like heaven. Okay, so I'm very happy with that. It's all in there and it's nice and tight. So now with the remainder, basically I'm just going to kind of clump it up a little bit, and I'm going to make my little crumbs bigger crumbs. That's all I'm doing. And again, it's like that new magic kinetic sand or whatever the heck they call it. It's great fun. It's great therapy too. So once I get a big kind of clump, I'm going to just sprinkle it on. And this is going to be the crumb topping of my absolutely fantastic, shareable, gigantic shortbread cookie. See what we got going here? It's coming out perfect. This is exactly what I want. Okay, almost there. And I will caution you, if you do want to do it the fun way and just literally put it on a platter and serve it, if I were you, I would put like wax paper down below, because if you just take it off and, you know, break off pieces, the crumbs, I mean, I just wiped the countertop down because I made one for Tommy that he shared with Mary Kate and her family. And I could tell he was up at midnight because the crumbs were all over my breakfast bar. So just make sure you put a layer of something down, or you will be picking up crumbs off of your countertop. Okay, so you see what I've done here. And I'm not concerned about this being neat at all, because the looser the crumbles are, the more they're going to get kind of brown and beautiful in the oven. So this is it, ladies and gentlemen. Let me just go wash my hands real quick so we can pick it up and not drop it. Okay, so we are going to walk this over to preheated Martha. We're going to go into 350 for, we're going to start with 20 minutes. As I've told you many times, everybody's oven is different. Mine's pretty hot. Start with 20, then we need to reduce because we don't want to burn the crumbly part. We want to set the bottom, and then we want the crumbles to brown gently. So we're going to go 20 minutes, take a peek at it, then we're going to kick the heat down to 300 and let it finish. And when it finishes, it actually kind of dries out, so it's much more biscuity. So let's get into the oven. Okay, and don't be fooled that my convection says 325. It is 350, but it's 325 because it reduces because it's convection. I can take my pretty towel off and put the light on so we can watch it. And we will set the timer for 20 minutes. And in 5 minutes, this kitchen is going to smell like butter and vanilla and heaven, because this is heaven's kitchen. So that's our quick little 1, 2, 3 shareable dessert. We're going to get all these lovely things out of the way, and we're going to start our next course, which is perfect for the kids to learn how to make. It's New England pub pizza. So I'll cleaning up, and I'll be right back. Well, just as I promised, it smells buttery and delicious in here. Our beautiful shortbread, I've already done the tweak down from 350 down to 300. Now it's just going to finish up, brown a little bit, kind of get toasty looking, and dry out, which is what I want. So now we